Welcome to Eat Baila Travel. This is Jenny and Kevin. We are two Mexican Americans that decided to move to Mexico. We started exploring our options in Veracruz, then moved to Yucatán, then Oaxaca, and now Querétaro.
In today's video, we will reflect on the time that we've spent in Querétaro and think about whether it's a candidate for a future home. We've made a few videos reflecting on different cities in Mexico and whether we can see ourselves living there. For fairness, we're going to use the same format as we think about whether we'd like to live in Querétaro by focusing on the following: the size of the city, safety, climate, food, health and fitness, and the dance scene. To start with, the size of this city is much bigger than we expected. We had no clue that Querétaro was such a large city. There are over 1.6 million people living here, and despite this large size, the city has really great infrastructure for public transportation, wide sidewalks for walking, which sounds super simple, but are actually not available in a lot of parts of Mexico. The sidewalks are usually very narrow, so it's very walkable, safe to walk in, which we'll get into the next section. The infrastructure for public transportation is great, and then bike lanes. We haven't seen bike lanes in many cities in Mexico, so that's something that really surprised us and we really enjoyed seeing. We don't have bikes right now, but when we do, and if we were to live here, getting around the city on a bike would be super easy and super safe. Moving on to safety, we've felt super safe walking around day and night around the city. We've walked hours throughout the city, and even the locals tell us how safe it feels. As people from outside the state start to move here, they say they bring their own habits and behaviors, so hopefully Querétaro continues to stay a safer city, but relative to other parts of Mexico, it has been said that it's very, very safe. A few moments ago, I mentioned the infrastructure in regards to size, but having good infrastructure is really important to safety. In terms of traffic, street lights, and crosswalks, I've been really impressed with the crosswalks here. They prioritize the pedestrian, which again is not always the case in many parts of Mexico, and the streets are super, super clean, which I would also equate with safety, because a city that's clean just feels safer. Climate is an important part of the living experience, right? It's the weather you're gonna come out to every single day. So the climate here in Querétaro is really temperate. It's like a beautiful eternal spring/summer. So there is a high about 85 to 87 degrees average year round and a low of about 41 degrees. In the cold season, which is about November to February, you'll usually see about a high of 75 and in the lower 40s. Which is not bad. So this is a place that doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. Even the evenings and the nights are still super pleasant, which is really nice, because coming from Chicago, where we had to deal with really hot summers and extreme winters, it was a constant shock going from one extreme to the other, and then being able to come to a place like this, which is constant and mostly stable weather, except for the rainy season where we've seen some pretty big storms. We have talked about how much we love hot weather and we love being near the beach. That's something that Querétaro definitely does not have, is a beach or a tropical climate. But the warm weather and not too cold temperatures, I think, offset not having the beach nearby.
Number 4, food. We'll start off with seafood for food. Seafood is very important for our diet. We love seafood a lot. It makes us happy. It makes us feel healthy. One thing that we did notice about Querétaro is that the seafood might not be as fresh as other places like Mérida or Oaxaca, Puerto Escondido, but there are a couple options. We checked out 2 restaurants. They might have not been our favorite spots, but it's very nice that they do have options for us to check out in case we are ever craving seafood. Meat in central and northern Mexico is very delicious. We've had a lot of arrachera, ribeye, picaña, and different sorts of cuts of meat. And the meat in central and northern Mexico is like nothing compared to the south or the coastal areas. So make sure you check out our food blog so you see the places we had seafood, the places we had meat. As a metropolitan city, Querétaro offers a wide variety of international options. You can find some authentic British food, Italian food, Korean food, and even Indian food. The city is home to a lot of immigrants, and because of that, they bring their culture, they bring their food, so you get a lot of international options. In addition to the authentic Mexican food in Querétaro, such as enchiladas, gorditas, tamales, champurrado, we also appreciate the access to fresh fruits. We have noticed though that the prices here for fruits are way more expensive compared to other places. The cost of living in Querétaro is also higher compared to other places, so they go hand in hand, you know. A lot of people say that safety has a cost in Mexico, or la seguridad tiene un precio en Mexico, and they kind of go hand in hand in terms of cost of living, food, fruit. One thing that we really appreciate from Querétaro is the cheese and wine culture, because there are so many vineyards around the area, like Guanajuato, Querétaro are home to a bunch of vineyards. The cheese and wine culture seem to be part of this culture, and we really love that. Moving on to number 5, health and fitness. We've seen plenty of gyms here. Actually, from all the places that we visited in Mexico, Querétaro has to be the place that we've seen the most variety of gyms. There's cycle clubs, there's weightlifting clubs, there's a bunch of different varieties of gyms. You walk around in certain areas and you see an overwhelmingly amount of gyms, which is really cool because there's a bunch of different options for us to check out. Hospitals, there's a good amount of hospitals as well, private and public. We also noticed that there's a couple of social groups for cyclists, runners, and different sports. Due to the pandemic, some of them are limited and restricted, but hey, they're there and we love that option.
And number 6, if you've been traveling with us, then you know how important this next one is for us, and that is the presence of a dance scene. We've gone out dancing a few times here in Querétaro, and we've been to La Famosa Cantina on Saturdays, which is a salsa social put on by a local dance academy. The dance community here seems to be a little small from what we've seen, but there's definitely room for potential and room for growth, so that makes us excited, and the fact that there are other people here who social dance is a really good sign. There's also live music that we've seen at Latino, Bistro, and Cafe. They have live Cuban salsa groups Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can make reservations on their Facebook page. During the pandemic, they're only taking reservations.
And there's live salsa at Barrabana. We didn't get the opportunity to check it out because it's because of the pandemic. I think it's closed. But there's options, and we love that, and hopefully we get the opportunity to listen to more live salsa because that's big.
So, after reflecting on those 6 points, what do we conclude? Shall we live here? After visiting Querétaro, I think that we're at top 3 contenders for a future home. I would say that that's still Mérida, Puerto Escondido, and Querétaro.
So where will we end up? Make sure to place your bets down in the comments below.
Just kidding. Maybe it'll be none of those. Who knows? This journey will continue. We're going to continue exploring Mexico. Although Querétaro, I think, is going to stay in a very special place in our hearts. And I think we might just be back here sooner or later. In an upcoming video, we'd like to share about the cost of living and compare it to Mérida. I don't know, is that something you all would be interested in seeing? Let us know in the comments below what it is that you'd like to know when it comes to living in Querétaro versus Mérida, because that's something that we're wondering ourselves. And last but not least, be sure to check out our From Chicago to Mexico series playlist on our YouTube channel for more reviews of other cities that we've considered to live in Mexico. While this city was a wonderful place to call home for a month, and we haven't quite decided where we'll stay, our journey is going to continue as we continue exploring Mexico as much as we can.
Thank you to those who recommended Querétaro to us. We really appreciate it. Make sure you keep your recommendations coming because our journey is not over yet.
Se cuidan, se bañan y nos vemos en la próxima.